Hey boys and girls, today we're going to make a winter landscape. Now to do this, we're going to use monochromatic colors. Mono means one, and what we're going to do is we're going to mix some white with blue, and then last but not least, we're also going to mix with black. So first things first, we need a background. And to do this, we're going to use this brush. It's called a fan brush, which is pretty cool. We're also going to be using these other awesome brushes, and they're going to be for fine detail. So let's get to work. Now I'm going to take my fan brush and I'm first going to dip it into the white paint. When I dip it into the white paint, just like that, I'm not dipping it all the way down to the bottom where the metal is. That's the barrel. I'm dipping it only where the brush is. So I'm going to hold my paper down. I'm going to hold my paper this way, the long tall way. I've got a piece of black paper behind it so I can use that to carry my painting when I'm all finished over to the drying rack. I'm going to make one row of white. You can see the difference between that and the paper. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to start mixing. I'm going to take a little bit of blue. Can you see that? Just a little, and I'm going to now mix it with my white. And you can tell that when you mix with the white, it's pretty awesome because you can see the little streaks in it. Can you see that? I'm going to start on the edge, and I'm going to go and mix it together with that white. I'm trying to get a nice, pretty sky. Might even add a little bit more white. Here I go. Oh, and I'm making my sky roll. The wind is blowing left to right. Now I'm ready to make some mountains in the background. It's called atmospheric perspective. The further away mountains get, the lighter they look. So we are starting with the sky, and now I'm trying to mix some darker colors. You see, I'm not mixing as much. So let's see what I get. Oh, I definitely get a much darker shade of blue. Do you see that, boys and girls? Now, what am I going to do? I'm going to make another row. I'm going to overlap. Here I go. I'm taking another bit of blue. See it? Not a lot. And I'm mixing it. And when I mix, I'm not mixing it totally, as you can see here, because it's neat to have a little bit of a texture look to it. Someone said, oh, can I make my trees like this so it looks like there's a lot of trees in there? Sure, you can even make a wiggle, but never go up and down straight, or else it won't look like a landscape with mountains. So I'm going to do one more, and I'm going to mix it. Now if you do it with a friend, you guys can mix together. Let's see, here we go. Up, this one's a little darker. Here I go. Notice I'm going all the way across. If you see a little white spot, you can just smear right over it. There I go. Now I'm going to do one more, I believe, with some white. That looks pretty cool. And I'm going to make one more line. And I'm going to leave the bottom space that looks white. I'm going to add just blue. But I didn't clean out my brush, you can see. So here I go. Awesome. Yes. So already it starts to look like the further away things get, the lighter they look. I see here it got a little too dark in comparison to the rest, so I can always add a little bit more white if I need. And just put a little bit of white over top. Yeah, that works. Voila. And maybe a little bit more. There we go. Now, you can do that until it dries, but once it dries, and I'm done, I'm going to take this and place this in the drying rack. Here it goes. And what do I have? I have one already dry. So this is what it looks like. It's funny when it's dark and dry. When it's wet, it looks a little darker. When it's dry, it gets lighter. Here's our next step. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make a story. We're going to show some trees in the background, some pine trees, and then as we get closer to us, it's going to get darker. We're going to make a silhouette with some black and blue. Now, here I go. I'm going to get it a little bit closer to you so you can see. There you are. Now that's the sky. I'm going to leave that go for right now. And I'm going to start making some trees. Now to do that, I'm going to use my blue. go. I'm going to take some of that white with a little dot of blue. And you can always take your paper towel and clean off your brush if you want. I'm going to use the little tip of the brush. I don't know if you can see that. Look how tiny it is. It's a very tiny brush. And before I start, I try to practice on the side of my black paper so I can see how to make a nice straight line. I'm going to take my blue and I'm going to make a little tree here. So I'm only going to use the tip of my brush. Try to hold my paper nice and straight. I'm going to make another tree that's a little longer. And notice I'm trying to make it as straight as I can so I sit close to it. I think I'm going to make a nice big long tree here. Could I make more than one tree? Absolutely. In fact, I'd like it to make more than one tree. And you can tell this one's really super long. So the longer they are, the taller they are, gives the illusion that they're closer to you. All right, so now I have the trunk of my tree. I'm going to take a little bit of blue and I'm going to do a dabbing, I call it. I'm going to make these into pine trees. Now some boys and girls like to just make a triangle. That's fine too. We're going to add some snow later. Here's my next one. This time I'm going to take my brush that looks like a flat brush. If you can see, it's not pointy, it's flat. I'm going to take some of my paint, my blue paint, and I'm going to start dabbing. I know some of you boys and girls say dab. No, this is different kind of dabbing. Here I go. Do you notice how I'm making them bigger as they get further down? Sometimes what I do is decide how far I want it first, and that gives me a hint as to how long these branches can be. I should be able to see some trunk through. They shouldn't all be even because nature isn't even, is it? So here I go. And can one go overlap another? Yes. So I've got some tall here, and I think I'm going to make this tree this wide. Almost looks like an upside down T, doesn't it? So I'm going to start making these longer. Now someone asked me, can I draw this first with pencil? Yes. But do you see how I'm dabbing, boys and girls? I'm going to make this really big. There we go. Okay. So you can see how I'm making them a little bit fuzzier. You don't have to put a lot of paint on it. I'm not making straight lines. I'm dabbing. I'm touching with that brush and giving it, it's called dry brush. Uh-oh, look what I did. I covered the whole thing. That's okay. We're going to add some snow later. All right? So here I go. I'm going to try to make it. There we go. I'm going to do this last one really quicker so you can see. And what if one of the trees in the back is too big? Well, we don't have to worry about that because we'll just extend it down a little further. Alrighty, so now I have some trees in the distance. Looks pretty cool. Now the next step is I'm going to add some snow. So to do it, I'm going to clean out my paper, use my paper towel, dry some of that off. If I wanted to, I could even clean out my brush. There I go, drying it with a paper towel. I'm going to use some of this white blue because these are further away, and watch what I'm going to do. I'm just going to put a little bit of snow inside of it. Oh, and I make it go right through, okay, because this is giving the illusion that there's some of these branches closer. See? Pretty cool. And I'm going to do the same thing. There we go. Awesome. And you can add if you think, oh, I need a little bit more white, I need a little bit more blue. But it's kind of neat to have a little bit of that snow white mix with the blue while it's still wet. Gives it that illusion of that perspective where it's further away so you don't see it as much. There we go. Alrighty, now the last step that I'm going to do is I'm going to make a story. And how to do it is I'm going to pretend that I'm taking a walk through a woods, and as I'm going on this hike, I see a high hill, and on top of that hill I stand, and there are trees maple trees that the leaves have all fallen down, and I'm looking down into this valley. Always remember to clean out your brushes, and I am going to start drawing my tree. So to do it, I'm going to use some black. I'm going to open up my black, be very careful, and I'm going to replace my white and blue, and I'm going to use the black. Now, if you want, you can add some blue to it. That would be cool too. I'm going to take my teeny weeny brush, my little tiny brush, and oddly enough, I'm going to hold my brush down low. Oh, I always hold it like a pencil. I even hold it even closer to the barrel, just like that. You can see it. Can you see it? Yay, there it is. Very tiny. Okay, so here I go. I'm going to start by drawing a straight line. Now, if I hold my paper this way, my paper will make my tree crooked. So I'm going to try to hold it as straight as I can. And I'm going to start from down below. And notice how I use my side of my hand as well, boys and girls. I'm just going to make a straight line. Oh, this one's little. Well, that's okay. I'm going to extend it a little longer. Some boys and girls take a pencil and they draw a line first. What if my tree's a little crooked? Well, that's all right. Oftentimes, because of weather and wind, trees bend. Someone said, oh, my paint is too dry. Well, if your paint is too dry, you can always use your water cup. And there it ends. Okay.